Öncelikle bu güzel organizasyon için Saha Expo ekibine ve değerli sponsorlarımıza çok teşekkür ediyorum. Estyot Elektronik olarak global anlamda faaliyet gösteren bir elektronik komponent distribütör firmasıyız. 1989 yılında kurulan firmamız halen İngiltere Stevenage kentindeki merkezinden yönetilmektedir. Fakat az önce de bahsettiğim gibi İngiltere merkezli olmamıza rağmen global anlamda faaliyetlerimizi sürdürmekteyiz. Amerika'dan Avustralya'ya, Almanya'dan İsrail'e ve tabii Ankara, Türkiye olmak üzere bu bölgede de faaliyet göstermekteyiz. Uzak Doğu'daki ofislerimiz genelde komponent tedariğiyle meşgul olurlarken diğer bölgelerde de ağırlıklı olarak satış ofislerimiz bulunmaktadır. Ben aslında bugünkü sunumda sadece 3 başlığı ön plana çıkarmak istiyorum. Bunlardan birincisi availability, bulunabilirlik. İkincisi reliability, güvenilebilirlik. Ve tabii ki sonuncusu da rapidity, yani hız, sürat. Günümüzde elektronik çip sektörü gerçekten son zamanlarda yaşanan olağan dışı olayların da etkisiyle tedarik anlamında aşırı uzayan süreler ve ürünlerin bulunabilirliğinin gittikçe güçleşmesiyle karşı karşıya kalmış durumda. Bizler de Estyot olarak aslında tam olarak bu 3 başlığa çözümler sunabilmekteyiz. Bulunabilirlik. Uluslararası satın alma ofislerimizle dünyanın pek çok bölgesinden güvenilir tedarikçi ağımız vasıtasıyla talep edilen çipleri veya elektronik yarı iletken ürünlerini hızlı ve güvenilir bir şekilde bulmayı hedeflemekteyiz. Estyot olarak 14 arama motorunun, ki bu arama motorları elektronik komponent dünyasının arama motorlarıdır, aktif üyesiyiz. Bu arama motorları bizlere anlık olarak canlı stok miktarlarını ve bu stokların hangi kanallarda olduğunu vermektedir ve dolayısıyla bizlerin sizlere sunduğu teklif sürecini de oldukça hızlandırmaktadır. Tabii ki 30 yıldan fazla sektörde faaliyet gösterdiğimiz için gerçekten güvenilir iş ortaklarımız, birlikte çalıştığımız güvenilir tedarikçi ağımızda oluşmuş durumdadır ve bu tecrübenin de şu anda avantajlarını yapmış olduğumuz faaliyetlere ve servislere ciddi anlamda yansıtmaktayız. Bu çok karışık bir sayfa, bunun farkındayım, ama sizlerden gelen bir talebin teklife dönüşmesine kadar geçtiği rotaları, geçtiği alternatif mekanizmaları göstermek adına bunu paylaşmak istiyorum. Özetle sizlerden gelen bir talep doğrultusunda aramakta olduğunuz ürünü bulabilmek için elimizden gelen tüm çabaları gösterdiğimize emin olabilirsiniz. Tabii ürünleri bulmak tek başına yeterli midir? Hayır. Aynı zamanda bu ürünlerin güvenilirliğinden de emin olmak zorundayız. Estyot, elektronik komponent sektöründeki veya distribütörlük sektöründeki önemli standartlara sahiptir. AS6081 ve AS9120B'yi ben bunlara özet olarak paylaşabilirim. Tüm faaliyetlerimiz, tüm operasyonlarımız bu sertifikasyonlar çerçevesinde yürütülür. Buna ek olarak gerek İngiltere depomuzda, gerekse de Amerika depomuzda kapsamlı kalite kontrol laboratuvarlarımız bulunmakta ve burada çok çeşitli testleri komponentler üzerinde yapabilmekteyiz. X-ray tarama, etiket, barkod, orijinallik kontrolü veya yeri geldiğinde çipin içini de açtığımız decapsulation testlerini buna örnek olarak verebilirim. Artı tüm bu testlerden sonra belki sektördeki pek fazla geldiğimiz hizmetlerden veya servislerden birisi olmayan 10 yıllık garantiyi de sağlamış olduğumuz tüm komponentler için sizlere vermekteyiz. Özetle Estyot'tan bir elektronik komponent satın alırsanız otomatikman 10 yıllık Estyot garantisine de sahip olursunuz. Az önce bahsetmiştim. Estyot Elektronik İngiltere merkezli bir firma. İngiltere Savunma Bakanlığı'nın dahil olduğu bir konsorsiyumun da aktif üyesidir. Bu konsorsiyumun amacı elektronik komponent sektöründe sahteciliğin ve uygun olmayan ürünlerin dolaşımının önüne geçebilmek. Estyot olarak bu bakanlıkta aktif olarak rol alıyoruz ve dolayısıyla bu alanda uygun olmayan komponentlerin bir şekilde sizlere ulaşmasını mümkün mertebe engellemeye çalışıyoruz ve bunu da ciddi oranda başarıyoruz. Ve son olarak sürat. Ürünleri bulabildik, ürünlerin güvenilirliğinden emin olduk. Tüm test süreçlerinden de ürünlerimizi geçirdik. Ama sizlere biz bu ürünleri ne kadar zamana teslim edebiliyoruz? Sonuçta her projenin belli bir zaman kısıtlığı söz konusu. Estiyot olarak teklif ettiğimiz ürünlerin %90'dan fazlasını 2 ila 4 hafta gibi bir lead time süresinde siz kullanıcılarımıza ulaştırabiliyoruz. Bu bilgiler ve daha fazlası için ben sizleri müsait olduğunuzda 7E 12 nolu standımıza davet ediyorum. İnanın çok daha fazlası bizlerde mevcut. Bu hizmetlerimizi sizlerle paylaşmak için sabırsızlanıyoruz. Tekrar teşekkür ediyorum. Ve bugün bu fuarda bizlerle birlikte olan resmi üreticimiz Green Lion SSD ürünleri üzerine çözümler sunan Green Lion firmasından Bay Steve'i sahneye davet etmek istiyorum. Please, Mr. Steve, welcome to the stage to have your Green Line presentation.
Okay, so I presume this is the moves things on. I've tried to get close enough. So I'm very excited to be here to tell you a little bit about Green Lion today. Even if only to take my mask off for a couple of minutes, which is fantastic. Okay. So Green Lion. I'll give you a quick potted history. We're about 30 years old. We've been experts in solid-state storage for most of those 30 years, and as you can see, we've gone through many different guises and introduced the first BGA solid-state drives back in 2010. Most recently, we've been introducing removable drives, which we're showcasing today on Astute's stand in the auditorium. Our main focuses are on industrial and mil-aero applications, as you can see here. So they've been adopted by the major military and industrial customers across Europe. As you can see, sensors, single-board computers, industrial PCs, gaming systems, test and measurement, and then for probably more interest to you guys today, various applications in the mil-aero environment. So in-flight entertainment is a particular very busy segment for us, radars and black box data recorders in particular. Quick snapshot of the different types of products we have on show at the Astute booth today. So the 85 series NAND drive is a solder down BGA solution for a solid state drive. And these are particularly popular in applications where small size is crucial. Our Armor drive product family features MSATA, SATA 2.5 inch, NVMe M.2 and SATA M.2. Key feature of Green Lion's products is very high endurance, so we can facilitate up to 300,000 program erase cycles with the Armor drive products, from 4 gigabytes all the way up to 4 terabytes. And then our Armor drive cards, which feature CFast and SD and micro SD cards, up to 30,000 program erase cycle endurance. We won't talk too much about the NOR flash on the far side there. These are kind of legacy products, but we're still manufacturing these in high volume where required. Two other segments for us are in the enterprise storage area. So again, 2.5 inch form factor, both SATA and NVMe PCIe. Emphasis on high endurance, so up to 1 drive write per day, up to 30 drive writes per day, and capacities up to 8 terabytes. Particularly exciting for a lot of high storage requirements for things like data loggers, etc. Greenlight, why would you buy a Greenlight drive as opposed to somebody else's drive? The key things that we have in our portfolio are the fact that we design and develop the controller ourselves in all of these applications. So whereas for a lot of flash suppliers, they'll be buying in a controller, we actually develop and design the controller ourselves. So you can see here from PATA, SATA, NVMe, eMMC and SD, Greenlight manufactures and designs our own controllers. We also provide them at industrial temperature range, which is again another key segment. Something else that you'll be interested in is very high endurance. So a lot of our customers want to read and write to the drive many times, and this is just not possible with some competing products. We feature endurance up to 250,000 cycles, which is kind of far in excess of what most suppliers can offer. So this gives you a real advantage in product lifetime. That's up to 50 times higher than a lot of competing products. And we offer this across both our solder down range of NAND drive product and also the armor drive removable products. So again, the very high endurance is available in all of these areas. Something else you'll be interested in, and again, most of our industrial and military customers absolutely have to have this, and this is the difference again between Greenlight and a supplier that's used to supplying products to your iPhone, etc., is that we really try to make these products for just about as close to forever as possible. So we have a long-term availability program, but it's really more than that. It's a kind of an ethos that goes through all of our products. We're still making the first NAND drive that we developed 10 years ago. And really that's our goal, is to offer these products for just about forever. So we'll always, even if some of the components we can no longer source, we will still offer a form, fit, function replacement. So it's something, again, very key to most of our customers. Where can you find information about Greenlight, other than at Astute, of course, is so we have a website, greenlight.com. We're active on Twitter and LinkedIn, and we have local sales support. So I'm based in the UK with a team of field applications engineers and marketing support in the UK, and our headquarters are in Santa Clara, California, with operations in Asia. And I think that's the last slide we have. Thank you very much.
Sunumlar için çok teşekkür ederiz. Sırada Ismosis firmasından Sayın Öykü Kulan Çiftçi var. Buradaysa onu hemen alalım. Hoş geldiniz.
Herkese merhabalar. Öncelikle bizi tanımayanlar için çok kısa kendimizden bahsedeyim. Ismosis, elektronik komponent temsilcisi bir firma. 20 civarı üreticinin biz burada temsilciliğini yapıyoruz. Tasarımdan satışa ve hatta ödeme operasyonlarına kadar entegre bir çözüm sunuyoruz. Bunun için tabii distribütör partnerlerimiz de var. Burada bugün standımızda partner firmalarımız olan örneğin Bell Power, özellikle power çözümleri, endüstriye yönelik niche power çözümleri, yine connectivity çözümleriyle pil ömrünü uzatan veya pil gerektirmeyen uygulamalarda çözümler sunan Atmosik, minyatür audio komponentleri, Soğutucu uygulamaları, fan uygulamaları, bununla beraber konnektör çözümleriyle CUI firması. Ve son olarak da IoT uygulamalarınızda güvenlik çözümleri, security microcontroller sağlayacak Wisecave firmasıyla partnerlik yapıyoruz. Aslında videonun, yani görselin kendini daha iyi anlatacağını düşündüğümüz için bunlarla ilgili size kısa bir video hazırladık. Ben geri çekileceğim ve sizler videoyla baş başa kalacaksınız. Daha detaylı çözümlerimizle ilgili bilgi almak isterseniz de sizi 7E 12B'de standımıza bekliyoruz. Çok teşekkür ederim. Sağ olun.
Welcome, and today we are going to be talking about the difference between absolute and incremental encoders. Before we jump into the differences between the two types of encoders, let's quickly review what an encoder is. With most motors, you provide power and it spins, but there is no feedback to let you know how many times the shaft is rotated or what position it ended up in. An encoder is something you can integrate with your motor to provide that type of position feedback. Using various methods, it measures how much the shaft is rotated and sends this information to a controller of your choice. With an incremental encoder, the output typically has two square waves on individual channels that are output 90 degrees out of phase of each other. With the two square waves offset by 90 degrees, as the encoder rotates, it is possible to calculate which direction the shaft is moving by looking at the order of the incoming signal state changes. Those same signals can be measured to know the speed of the rotation and the distances traveled. With a little math, it's easy to even determine the shaft's angular position. To associate the output of the encoder with real numbers like RPM, the position in degrees, or how far the shaft is turned, it is necessary to know the encoder's resolution. Resolution can be described in three different ways: pulses per revolution, or PPR, counts per revolution, or CPR, and lines per revolution, or LPR. As resolution is notated differently across the industry, it's important to get the numbers into the same format when comparing products from different encoder manufacturers. For example, pulses per revolution describes the number of high pulses, or periods, an encoder will have on either of its square wave outputs over a single revolution. This is distinguished from counts per revolution, which looks at the number of total states that occur over a revolution. Since each signal switches between high and low states, and there are two output signals, you end up with 4 distinct states for every period. This is referred to as quadrature decoding. If the resolution of the encoder is 1024 PPR, there would be 4096 CPR after quadrature decoding. That is to say, there are 4096 state changes in a single revolution, or 4 times the PPR. Lines per revolution references the lines either printed or etched on a typical optical encoder disc, and is the same number as pulses per revolution. Again, naming conventions may be different depending on the manufacturer, so if you are uncertain and want to confirm that you're comparing things properly, I recommend looking at the datasheets and examining the waveforms themselves to verify. Now, while the information provided by an incremental encoder is incredibly useful, there are some drawbacks due to the fact that they only measure relative movement. They only provide information if there's movement, and if there's a loss of power for whatever reason, the current position becomes unknown. They also require constant monitoring, and if there is noise that either causes a pulse to be missed or a false pulse to be counted, the position would be off and need to be reconciled with some sort of index pulse. However, all of these drawbacks are overcome with an absolute encoder. An absolute encoder uses an optical, magnetic, or capacitive sensor to identify unique positions within a motor's revolution. With these sensors, as soon as you switch on the encoder, it knows exactly what the position of the shaft is and will transmit that data digitally to your controller, usually over a serial interface, without needing to rotate the shaft. Instead of simply counting how far you're moving in one direction or the other, like with an incremental encoder, the absolute encoder knows its current position at all times. From this, speed and rotation direction can be easily derived. Interestingly enough, there are both single and multi-turn absolute encoders. Multi-turn encoders not only give the absolute position of the motor shaft, but also actively track the number of rotations the motor has made. For both single and multi-turn encoders, the resolution of these sensors is usually specified as the number of binary bits available per turn. For instance, a 12-bit encoder would have 4096 unique positions similar to the number of states in the 10,024 ppr or 4,096 CPR incremental encoder described earlier. The difference, though, is that the positions of the absolute encoder are each unique, and with a simple calculation, you can convert the binary position value to an actual angle in degrees. While incremental encoders are slightly less expensive, they also require more hardware and software processing to convert the pulses to useful information. This adds even more complexity when you're using multiple encoders in conjunction with each other. It is much easier to combine multiple absolute encoders into the same system with their various serial bus interfaces that they support than it is to put multiple incremental encoders in one system when each incremental encoder requires its own unique quadrature interface. As the price gap between absolute and incremental encoders continues to shrink over time, absolute encoders are becoming more and more popular. While almost a requirement in all robotics applications, absolute encoders are becoming more common in other industrial and even consumer markets, such as with camera motion control, egress control, and more. I hope you enjoyed learning more about encoders and the differences between absolute and incremental versions. If you have any more questions about encoders, check out our motion blogs on our website.
In Amazic, we are pioneering the lowest power connected solution in the industry to enable the forever battery and battery-free IoT. It's projected that in 5 years, there will be 35 billion installed connected devices worldwide, each with at least one battery to be recharged or replaced. Our vision is to radically reduce the IoT's dependence on battery power. With our lowest power radio and on-demand receive innovations, we lowered the power between 10 and 100 times. By radically lowering the power requirement, energy harvesting is a viable source to power connected IoT devices to enable battery-free operation. And Amazic's M3 chip is just our first step towards our vision to enable the battery-free Internet of Things. Let me show you how the Amazic M3 chip powers this wireless connected keyboard, completely free of external batteries and dependent solely on harvester energy. This keyboard contains our Bluetooth design featuring our M3 chip that enables energy harvesting. This is the RF energy source connected to the USB port that powers the keyboard. I'm going to remove the batteries that typically power the keyboard. You can see I'm typing with the keyboard now. Powered solely by the M3 chip with energy harvesting. Amazic's M3 chip is just our first step to enable the battery-free Internet of Things. We welcome the opportunity to help you build your own forever battery or battery-free IoT products.
Bell Power Solutions e-mobility product family includes power conversion products for e-mobility applications. The product family includes inverters, converters, and chargers that are automotive compliant, IP67 sealed, and have full galvanic isolation. INV series are 6 kilowatt DC to AC inverters that provide 120 and 240 volt AC outputs to drive AC accessory loads from the high voltage DC bus. The inverters can also be used in parallel for up to 36 kilowatts of total output power. The DNC series are DC to DC converters that can be used to power low voltage accessories from the high voltage DC bus in hybrid and electric vehicles. The 4 kilowatt DC to DC converters can provide 12 or 24 volt DC outputs. The BDC series are 7.5 kilowatt bidirectional DC to DC converters that can power 12, 24, or 48 volts DC accessories. And they can also be used in reverse, supplementing the high voltage bus from the low voltage side. INVCH Series 15 kilowatt bidirectional inverter chargers combine inverter and charger functionalities in a single unit. This allows for AC to DC power conversion for onboard battery charging and DC to AC conversion to power 120 or 240 volt AC accessories. BCL series battery chargers are 25 kilowatt onboard battery chargers for hybrids and electric vehicles. 4 units can be used in parallel for up to 100 kilowatts of charging power. They can operate from a single or 3-phase AC input and output from 240 to 850 volts DC. Bell Power Solutions also offers custom solutions, including modifications to existing products or full customization of performance and packaging. To learn more, visit bellfuse.com/powersolutions.
Sunum için teşekkür ederiz. Sırada Merin firması var. Şu anda onların temsilcileri buradalar mı acaba? Merin. Burada değilse eğer 15 dakikalık bir aramız var şu an.